Tony D and Little Joan in the background, and this is a screenwriter take on The Killer, starring Michael Fassbender as a hitman. I believe this is directed by David Fincher, and it's not. It's probably one of the most grounded hitman movies I've ever seen, as opposed to every other one, which goes off in La La Land, and it's fun but not very realistic. This one tries to keep it very grounded, and so let's talk about it. First, I'll give the non-spoiler review, and then the spoiler review. Smash like and subscribe. Thank you for smash liking and subscribing. Check out my books. Links in the description. Comedy Horror in South Jersey. It's the Pineys. Books 1 through 14 available at Amazon.com. Don't forget, Kindle Unlimited is free. Okay. Let's see. Is that a good still to stay on? No, you can't see Michael Fassbender's face well enough. There we go. Oh, there's a good still. So here's the non-spoiler review. I like it. I liked it a lot. I'm not so sure about the ending. It feels like kind of a 70s movie, the way it just sort of ends without giving anything away. So, I didn't feel like it came to a roaring conclusion, but I did like it in general. It really gets down into the details of what you would have to do if you were a hitman and how you would cover your tracks and all that kind of stuff. I like that portion of it. Felt very smart, very pragmatic in a lot of ways. Fassbender isn't constantly babbling. In fact, all the other characters around him do most of the talking, which was an interesting contrast. Fincher, of course, has, he's got a great look to all his movies. So, I thought it was pretty good. I'd give it like 7.5, maybe an 8, depending. Because the way Fassbender kills people in the movie is the smartest possible way. Like the smartest possible way you could do it. And, the way things go sideways in one of the attempted killings makes 100% sense. Like, it's not like he just screwed up. It's just, it could have happened to anyone. You feel like, oh, shoot, I could have done that. Right? That's the way I look at movies a lot of times, with the main character playing at the height of their intelligence. If the character does something that I think I would have done in that same situation, I go, okay, that character's smart. If a character does something that's so obviously stupid that I could see it in the movie and the audience sees it, yeah, then he's not smart. But Fassbender's character is very smart, pretty methodical, and his motivation. The only thing I'll say is, man, the movie is very Spartan on not the details. Like, the details of his day-to-day operation are multiple, but the details of the actual character and how certain things connect are very Spartan, almost as Spartan as the dialogue. And I think it was based on a comic book. At least that's what I thought I read or heard. So that's about it, really. It's on Netflix. I think it's worth watching. It's got kind of a, I wouldn't say a slow pace. It's a very leisurely pace. So don't expect like a John Wick. It's not that kind of tone. It's not meant to be that. It's closer to, and not the Bourne Identity, nothing like that. It's not a frantic pacing. It's more of a crime pacing, right? It's more of a crime thriller, I would say. That's the way I would categorize it. And more often than not, and you've heard me talk about these Hitman movies, and I've a bit sick of all of them. There's just too many, and a lot of times they feel lazy. They don't feel authentic at all. Like, there's no way they'd have this elaborate network or the way this thing got set up, it would all fall apart. This one felt real, because it was very, very bare bones, grounded. You know, everybody had their role to play, and they're ruthless about it. Absolutely ruthless. So, yeah. And Fassbender's character is pretty ruthless too. But I kind of found him compelling in his lack of speaking, kind of lent for this. I don't know, like I was trying to figure out his deal the whole movie. And then at the end, I just kind of went, okay, and he keeps telling you what his deal is, and I'll get into that in the spoilers, but by the end of the movie, you're like, yeah, he was telling the truth, which was kind of interesting. I mean, that's kind of a spoiler, but not really, because you don't know what it's about. Anyhow, let's get into the spoilers. So if you're going to see this movie, it's on Netflix. I think it's worth watching if you like these kinds of movies. If you like crime movies. If you like hitman movies, I think it's a different kind of hitman movie. It's pretty dark. Pretty dark. Not super dark, not like depressing dark, but kind of like, yeah. It's a bit dark. Okay, so first act. Fassbender is on a mission. At the last second, he eyes up this guy to kill him. At the last second, prostitute gets in the way, ends up shooting her by mistake. Blows the whole mission. He gets away. And then he's basically covering his tracks. He's not sure if they're going to come to kill him or whatever. He eventually gets back to his home base in the Dominican Republic, only to find that his wife or girlfriend, I don't know if they're married, but they seem to be very much in love, is in the hospital. And they sent two people there to kill him, but he wasn't home, so they just beat the F out of her, and she somehow survived. Now, that's probably the weakest moment in the whole thing if you really think about it, but you know, you could see it happening. They don't kill her because they like torture the hell out of her. They don't get any answers, and then they leave, thinking that she's dying, but she survives. I mean, it happens. So at first, I didn't really know what Fassbender was going to do, because he's so cold and calculating. I thought perhaps this might just lead to him going, oh, well. And so he sets out to hunt down the people who did this. Right? So first, he goes to the bosses who hire him. Or the boss, I should say. And he manages to make his way in, as he does in, his line of work. Again, a very smart way. And that's a brutal scene. And this is really, we're into the second act now. It's a brutal scene, how he gets the information. But along the way, he keeps telling you all his rules, right? He keeps telling you all his rules. And one of the things he keeps telling you, he's just kind of an average guy. And at first, I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah, he's going to be like Superman. He's going to be killing like tens of guys. No. So then, one by one, he hunts down the people who hurt his wife, kills the first guy. Tilda Swinton has like a big scene. She's one of the assassins, kills her, and then goes after the client. Now, this is in the third act, where it gets, I don't know what's going on. At that point, he confronts the client who hired them all and gets the information out of him and just decides. Now, he sets it up by saying, this is going to be risky. This is going to be a risky client. And then he confronts him, and you get the last confrontational scene, and he decides not to kill him, which was kind of surprising, right? It's kind of surprising. I thought for sure he's going to kill this dude. Oh, he's going to kill him. No, he just decides no. He's satisfied with his explanation, and he goes back to the Dominican Republic to you know, hang out with his wife. So it was kind of a good movie. Um, and it was kind of realistic in that way. It was almost like, I mean, he definitely wanted to go after the two assassins who nearly killed his wife. And he's mad at the bosses who hired him because they decided to take him out. The client, I was like, I guess the reason he doesn't take him out is, number one, he didn't intend for Fassbender to die. He just was the client and just said, well, take care of it or whatever. The other thing is, he is some kind of powerful, moneyed guy who could, potentially his death would set off so many alarm bells that it would ruin him. But the movie does sort of leave itself open for another installment of this. I don't know if I would say it. I don't know if a second installment is necessary of the killer, because he kind of, he kind of makes do and has his money and has really no need to go back into the life. He really doesn't. And he had so many resources, which I really enjoyed too. And he even talks about it and how he just sets up everything. He's got all these false IDs. And the false IDs are the best part of the film, because I was laughing at every one. Now, I'm going to say a bunch of names that you may or may not know, but his false IDs were like Oscar Madison, Felix Unger, Archie Bunker, or it was Archibald Bunker, but it was Archie Bunker, Reuben Kincaid, and all these characters are from old sitcoms. So Oscar and Felix are from The Odd Couple. Reuben Kincaid was the manager, the character who was the manager on the Partridge Family. Archie Bunker, of course, was on the Family, and then there were a couple others. I forget. But I just laughed every time, he pulled out another fake ID. He was, spending money or getting on a plane or whatever. And I like that aspect of it. I like that aspect that, that kind of portion of it, it's just so easy. It's so easy he could use names like that and nobody even notices. So, and that wasn't, it's like they almost said, this so isn't an issue in this movie. Don't even sweat it. These guys can move around at will. And to some extent, I think that's correct. I mean, people do have fake IDs. It's possible to buy them. People use them all the time, passports and whatnot. It's not impossible to do if you pay the money and know the criminal underworld. And it wasn't gratuitous, right? He wasn't like mowing down guys to get away. He just was super smart and had his getaway perfectly planned. There's a great scene with the taxi driver when he gets information at him. And probably the biggest scene is not Tilda Swinton, but the other assassin, the guy who's taking the roids, and he has to fight him, and he has to avoid his pit bull. So that one's pretty good too. So there's a lot here. I think I guess the only problem I had with the third act, it didn't feel climactic. It just kind of felt, okay, that's the end. It was kind of like what he said, that he's just an average guy, right? And so it felt kind of like an average guy's solution. Okay, it's not worth killing this guy. He didn't really mean for all this to happen. I've taken care of all the other guys. I'm just going to retire and go off with my money. So I could see that. And the evidence was there. And that's what I really liked about Fincher's direction. It is Fincher, right? Fincher directed it, right? I'm almost sure he did. Of course, it's not listed here. IMDb. I think Fincher directed it. But I'll just double check so I don't have to reshoot this entire thing. Yeah, he directed it. Writers were Alexis Nolant, Luke Giacomon, and Andrew Kevin Walker. He's just an average guy. At the end, like he sort of treats the ending kind of like an average guy would. Okay, it's not worth killing this guy. I'll get over it. He didn't mean for this to, blossom out of control. And I've taken care of guys, and there's nobody left. But like those details you see. So like when he gets back to his house and he sees the footprints and the cigarette butts, he knows, oh shoot, there was a guy here. He was waiting until he got in. Also his attitude about cameras. Cameras are going to see you, but like the idea is to be as neutral as possible, just to blend in, which he does with baseball caps and sunglasses and hats, and very neutral clothes. So after a fateful near miss, an assassin battles his employers and himself on an international manhunt he insists isn't personal. Yeah, and that's part of it too. Like he's constantly telling you his rules, but he's kind of constantly breaking them too. And that's an interesting dichotomy. The IMDb only gives it 6.7. I would rate it higher than that. I think it's better than that. I think why people don't like it is they are expecting that kind of John Wick, bodies piling up everywhere. And it's just not that kind of movie. So if you go into it with that attitude, I could see why you'd be sort of pissed off. But it wasn't promoted that way. It was promoted like it rolls out. It's the details of his methods that are very interesting. How he has tons of license plates and fake IDs and extra guns all ready to go in plastic bags with the bullets, everything. He's got everything ready. And wherever he goes, even when he just, gets a drink and washes his hands in a sink, he's there with the spray bottle. He washes himself multiple times to get the gun residue off himself, and like all these things. The detail there is really good, and that's what I enjoyed about it. So I found it good. I mean, I think if you enjoy that kind of well-written thing, I think you'll like it. All right. So that's it for me, Tony D, and Little Joan in the background. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget, I will be Sunday at the iHeart Horror Convention in Matawan, New Jersey, from 4 to 9. And this is the iHeart Horror Monster Truck Ice Cream Jamboree. And it's outside, but it should be a fun time. So hope to see you Sunday. We'll see you in the next one.